Ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to an early Draftkings First Look podcast here on the Main Event DFS. My name is Adam Kohn. I am your host. I am a NFL DFS analyst and content provider here at Main Event DFS. And I am joined today by Mr. Ethan here at Main Event DFS. Ethan, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I am excited. Football is back.
Very excited.
We've got here an early first look podcast specifically to DraftKings. It's a 13-game slate, and as our viewers can see, I've just pulled up a random Millie Maker contest so we can go over pricing and prizes and all that other fun stuff. Alright, so let's first off get into it. Are there any quarterbacks here on the slate that you like?
Jalen Hurst is one. We have Ryan Tannehill, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow is one that we need to talk about. Joe Burrow coming in here at $5,700 against this Minnesota secondary, which I'm sorry is still not improved. We're just going to go pull them up here over on ESPN. Let's head over to the Vikings, wherever they are. I still don't think they're that much of an improved secondary whatsoever. They've got Rashad Breeland, okay improvement. Patrick Peterson, what is probably the shadow of his former elite self. Harrison Smith and Xavier Woods. Okay. It's a somewhat decent secondary. It's not one I'm scared of. And Cincinnati's defense is just so bad. They're going to be one we're going to pick on this year. But their offense, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, even if you want to include CJ Uzoma, this offense is going to be putting up numbers this year. I have very much interest in Joe Burrow at $5,700. And at an early first look, he is my favorite quarterback to target for this week one slate.
He's so underpriced.
He's hilariously underpriced. He should be in the 6K range. $5,700 is very underpriced. And I think we should just talk about it since I think you and I both really like the Bengals offense this week. For week one is this hilarious price here at 4.8. Even more hilarious is that T. Higgins is $4,700 and Tyler Boyd is more expensive than both. No disrespect to Tyler Boyd, but the third stringer on this offense compared to Chase and Higgins. What happened here?
I mean, I still don't hate Boyd's price. He's still going to put up monster numbers this year.
Yep, I would just...
He always has.
I think
given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I think for this week one slate, though, I think we've put all three of these players in our player pools. We all stack at least two of them with Joe Burrow. Here's the flip side of it. It's the running back side of it. Typically, we don't want to stack running backs with their quarterback. It's typically not good correlation. However,
you can with Joe Mixon.
You can with Joe Mixon. He is the pass-catching running back.
Gio is gone.
I'm not super scared of this defensive line, but I respect them. Like Dalvin Tomlinson, Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Nick Virgil, Anthony Barr. I respect very much parts of this defensive line, so I don't feel great about Joe Mixon, but Joe Mixon, $6,200. Someone you have to have interest in anything above a 3 max, and especially have interest in for large field GPPs. Look, it's week one. You need to hit ceiling. This isn't a week where we have any stats. You know, we're going by what we've seen in preseason, and we're going by what we saw from last season. We have no stats to go off of. Personally, I don't take 2021 stats into consideration until we get 4 weeks into the season. And we have 4 weeks worth of data to look at. Because then I feel like, okay, we've seen enough out of 4 games that we can start looking at 2021 data. But for now, I'm going to continue to go back and look at 2022 data. And we knew that Minnesota secondary was terrible last year. Yes, they added Rashad Breeland. Yes, he's a good cornerback. They still have Patrick Peterson. I'm respectable, but I want to target the secondary for Minnesota more than I want to run the ball against them.
Yeah.
I think on the flip side of this, though, this is a fantastic game stack spot, too. And if you're playing the early slate on DraftKings, early slate only, I think you game stack this game because Dalvin Cook on the other side is going to have a field day against this bad Cincinnati
Dalvin
Bengals
Cook is
offense.
gonna. It's. It couldn't be a better spot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe Detroit.
Maybe
Detroit.
Detroit.
Maybe Detroit.
But it's an absolutely fabulous matchup. He's 9-1, but Dalvin Cook. Mike Zimmer is, he's going to run the ball a lot. Dalvin Cook is going to get the receptions.
He's one of the best plays on the slate. At an early first look, he's one of the best plays on the slate.
He's easily my top running back.
I can absolutely see that. Because, if we look at the other running backs here on the slate, the only one above him is Christian McCaffrey against the Jets. Yes, the Jets' defense isn't that good. They've got some decent pieces on the defensive line, though.
They do.
And I mean, am I going to take...
is far better in the matchup.
Agreed. I just think for Cook's skill set and McCaffrey's skill set, I'd pick Cook over McCaffrey. I really don't think we have a lot to salvage to look at. Look, if I want to go, for example, let's go here. I'm going to put Joe Burrow in a lineup, and I'm going to put, let's just say, Chase and Higgins, and go from there. Okay, that leaves me $5,800 a player. Well, if I want to jam in Dalvin Cook on the other side and game stack it, I still get $5,140 a player. Let's just throw in a random defense. Who's in a somewhat decent spot? Let's just put in New Orleans. I mean, it's not the greatest defense here on the slate, but let's put in New Orleans, 2,200, $5,875 a player. Tight end, we can always go cheap at. Let's just say we want to use, I don't know,
Zach Ertz.
Yeah, we'll get to him. Zach Ertz, $3,800. I don't understand that at all. That leaves you $65,000 roughly for your last three spots. That's fantastic. And especially if we get some other breaking news that, let's just say we get a min-price wide receiver that we know is going to get volume, or a min-price running back that we know is going to get the volume. Javonta Williams. Oops, did I say that? We'll get there, because we'll get there when we get to that game. But are there any other quarterbacks here? Because there's another one that stands out to me here, and that's Ryan Tannehill in a game that both you and I really like. So, talk to us about the Arizona-Tennessee game, and that game is coming in right now at a 51.5 over/under, and I would take the over.
I mean, Tennessee's defense was awful last year, and they're gonna be awful again this year.
They lost They lost Malcolm Butler. Their only somewhat decent cornerback is gone.
And Arizona's decent pass rush maybe got a little better, but that defense still does not impress me too much or scare me too much at all.
We know these are two defenses that are rebuilding. I mean, let's face it, Cliff Kingsbury's air raid offense is built on offense. It is all about having four wide receivers that he can attack you with. And they've got their pass-catching running back in Chase Edmonds. Yes, they have James Conner on the roster. I don't expect Conner to be the starter. However, you've got DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Rondell Moore. Oh, yeah, and A.J. Green's there now. You mean to tell me in Cliff Kingsbury's third year in the league, with Kyler Murray under a third year underneath him, that I think we're finally going to see what Kingsbury has been wanting to do the last 2 years. And we're going to see that offense explode this year.
He's going for a wine.
If you're playing season long, I can make you an argument for Kyler Murray over Patrick Mahomes as the number one quarterback in my rankings. I can make you that argument. Because I think Mahomes is just a trap this year as a quarterback for season long. And I can absolutely make you the argument Kyler over Mahomes, number one, especially a finish this year. But
at a later round.
Well, you can get him, 2 rounds later? So
yeah, maybe more, depending on your league.
I love this game, both sides. I love the Arizona side of things. I love the Tennessee side of things. Tennessee is very simple. We know it's Tannehill. We know it's Henry. We know it's A.J. Brown. We know it's Julio Jones.
Yeah.
We know where the volume is.
Yeah, on the Arizona side, K1 is on the more expensive side, but if you get that value, I'm definitely going to have shares of him. Chase Edmonds, I don't hate him as a punt, but I don't love him. If we get that Javonta Williams, which we'll talk about later, then we can definitely go there. And then wide receiver, I do not hate Rondale Moore as a punt if you need it.
Agreed. At 3,000, he's min priced.
I think he's going to be utilized a good amount in this offense this year going forward. Going forward, you have D Hop, Kirk, and Green. What, you going to play Keyshawn over Rondale?
Yep, no. You gonna play Isabella over Rondell Moore? No.
No.
I think we're really gonna see. I mean, there is one other somewhat elephant to invisible elephant in the room, and that's DeAndre Hopkins. And we're not going to get into it here in the podcast. But if you've been following along with football news in the offseason, when the NFL dropped their COVID-19 rule sets, it kind of generated some backlash from players, especially guys like Hopkins, who kind of, sort of,
Hopkins is pretty much the loudest.
yeah. I mean, it was a. I want to say it was a tweet that he tweeted and then quickly was brought down about, maybe not playing this year and retiring.
Yes.
I
And then
mean,
he took it down like 30 minutes later.
yeah. And this is why you don't post crazy stuff on social media, ladies and gentlemen. Um, oops, did I say that? But so at least he recognized it and clearly has probably, well, maybe that's still in the back of his mind.
I don't
He's
think he's going to retire. I just think he was upset at the moment.
like a lot of other players, and I'm sure a lot of other fans are too, because it's the most ballsy, aggressive policy we've seen in any of the major four sports so far.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's definitely out of frustration, but again, this is an early first look podcast.
I highly doubt he's going to retire. I just think he was very, very upset.
I agree, and he's got way more money on the table. He's got so much more money to make on the table. So, with that being said, A.J. Brown of the two Tennessee wide receivers is my favorite. He's got the chemistry with Tannehill. Julio coming into this offense, he's listed as questionable right now.
He'll be fine for week one, though.
Keep your eye on this for week one, because we're recording this on August 16th. The season's still at least 3 weeks away. So we have plenty of time to dissect this, but I think A.J. Brown is one of the better wide receivers to target on this slate. And alright, so we've kind of buried the lead. The best wide receiver on this entire slate is Calvin Ridley. $7,900. I have it in my notes here. Ridley, more Ridley.
Ridley.
He's going up against one of the worst secondaries in the entire league, in my opinion. Philly is still a mess overall as a team. That team is currently rebuilding. They've got a decent defensive line. I still have respect for it. Their secondary last year was terrible. They lost Jalen Mills, which was their only decent quarter. So, I can definitely see a game stack of this because Atlanta's defense is also terrible.
Yeah.
So, let's go over it. Quarterbacks in this game, Jalen Hurts.
I'll take both quarterbacks here.
Yeah, I would definitely put both in your player pool. Jalen Hurts at 6,400, Matt Ryan 6,000. I definitely think it's
running backs are a pass.
Mm-hmm. I mean, let's take a look at the running backs. We got Miles Sanders at 6,500. For years against Atlanta, we would want pass-catching running backs against this team because they just could not guard pass-catching running backs that well. However, we have no idea what the F is going on with Philly, and I'll keep it PG, what the F is going on with them and why they're not using Miles Sanders as a three-down beast that he is. I don't understand it.
I would love Miles Sanders if they used him correctly.
I would have loved Miles Sanders to be used.
Maybe Sirianni, however you say his name, changes it.
Not sure. Let's face it. I'll cop to it. I drafted Miles Sanders at my first overall pick last year. I think I had a first round fifth pick. I picked him over Barkley, which, in my defense, Barkley got injured, but Sanders
was
didn't.
not bad.
Sanders didn't do much of anything either. Um, so Mike Davis on the other side, though, $5,400. He's cheap. He's the guy. It's not Quadre Olison. Ito Smith is no longer there. This is Mike Davis's backfield, at least as of right now. Now, Todd Gurley's still out there. Le'Veon Bell's out there. Mark Ingram could end up being cut by Houston. They could bring another veteran, but look, when Mike Davis has gotten the ball in recent years, the guy has done nothing but produce.
He's just produced solidly when he gets the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So I like both sides of this game and the wide receivers. Calvin Ridley being under $8,000 is a complete misprice.
Russell Gage is 5,300. He's the wide receiver 2 now. We saw what he can do when he gets targeted.
Mm-hmm. In this game, there's going to be a lot of targets to go around.
Javonta Smith, 4,500 if he's good to go.
I'm sorry, he's what? What?
He's 4,500. You heard that right.
He's cheaper than Jamar Chase. That I understand, but what is happening here? So the thing
is 4K.
This is just all sorts of ridiculous. Philly's number one wide receiver is listed at $4,500.
Have you looked at Kyle Pitts' price?
Kyle Pitts is $4,400.
Kyle Ertz, 3,800.
I want so much of this game now. I want exposure to this game several ways from Sunday. Oh my goodness. Look, here's the deal with Travis Fulgham. I think he's by default on paper the number 3 on this team.
Even the number 2 and number 3 because we do not know what we're getting from Jalen Reagor.
I can make a solid argument Fulgham is the highest producer on this team right now and should be targeted as the 1. He has the most
like him.
Yeah, like we have the most sample size with like Fulgham on the roster and Hurts targeting him.
4,000.
It's crazy. And Reagor 3,700. Assuming I have no idea what's happening with this. I don't think we're going to see Greg Ward at all this season. Or at the very least in week 1, but if we get news that Ward is going to be named a starter, he's 3,000.
No disrespect to Goddard, but 1,000 more than Zach Ertz.
I think Goddard's the guy. I'm surprised Ertz hasn't been traded, but there's a rumor going around that Philly might just be using both of them. So we're going to see New England and
they're going to use both.
Yeah, I think we're going to see Philly do the same thing New England's doing. Double tight end set.
When Ertz is healthy, he is a beast. He is a total beast.
For sure. I mean, here's my feeling on the tight ends. I want Goddard and Pitts with sprinkles of Ertz. If you need the salary savings, I don't mind going to Ertz. And look, as much as we keep talking about Kyle Pitts, look, I own Kyle Pitts in 2 dynasty leagues. My 2 dynasty leagues, I own Kyle Pitts in both. I think he's going to be an absolute monster. I think he's going to have a very real chance to break lots of tight end rookie records. I think he has a good chance to go over.
Defenses, they will.
I think he has a good chance to go over 1,000 receiving yards this season.
Easily.
Hayden Hurst is still there. Now, Hayden Hurst is
still there.
I don't necessarily think Hayden Hurst is a blocking tight end.
Honestly, they could just run Pitts at wide receiver 3. Who else are you going to run at wide receiver 3?
There's a very real possibility he plays what wide receiver he does at tight end.
Who are they going to run in 3 wide receiver set? Zacharias, Sharp, Frank Darby.
Large field GPPs, I absolutely have interest in Zachary and what I can't pronounce his last name. Zacchaeus?
I don't even know how to say it.
I'm gonna go with Zacchaeus. $3,400. I got interest in him. No interest in Cordell Patterson. If you want to take a shot at him, that's fine. He's more of a gadget player. As Akisis, we've seen games of him last year. He was fantasy relevant. But again, it's week 1, and from what I've seen, like I was doing just reading some stuff from like 1 week season last year, and they made a good point. Like, this is a week where you need to have over 200 points, most likely, to win a GPP.
Probably.
Think of what that says. Over 200 points. And think of how crazy this is. No one has data. Look, all of us are doing all this early data. There's almost no edge. Because we all have the same amount of time to do the research. We all have 5 to 6 weeks to do this.
Yep.
So everyone's looking at the same thing. They're going to the same spots, whether it's a Roto Grinders, a main event DFS, Osimo, a 1 week season, FTN, or wherever you're getting your information from. We hope it's here at main event DFS.
Yeah.
But still, it's week 1. You need to call your shots, and you need to make stands. I am probably making stands right now.
You need to do some punts somewhere.
Yep. I'm probably taking stands right now on Cincy and Tennessee. I'm taking stands of fading Pittsburgh, Buffalo, fading Green Bay, New Orleans, fading Miami, New England. You have to take stands in week 1. Once we get by week 1 and pricing resets, we're going to have more of a traditional DFS sense in how we do our research. Right now, it's a free-for-all. Like, you can make the case either way with Jacksonville-Houston, that game could have 60 points because of how terrible each defense is. I can make you the case that if we go to Houston's wide receiver core, let's just take these guys off, and if we take a look at just Houston's wide receiver core, it's Brandon Cooks, Kiki Kude, and Nico Collins, and Anthony Miller, who was injured in the last preseason game. I can make a case for Nico Collins, 100-plus receiving yards and 2 touchdowns.
Who?
Nico Collins is the rookie they drafted this year.
Oh, Houston?
Yep.
Oh, I could easily see that.
Because we don't know. Right now, Tyrod Taylor, I'm assuming, is the quarterback. He's 5,300.
Quarterback.
If it's Watson, I have interest in everybody. I don't think Watson plays a snap for Houston this year. I think he's playing these preseason things and training camps so he can stay in shape. I think he sits out the entire season. But QT was on the outs last year. They traded for Anthony Miller. Anthony Miller is $3,300. If he plays,
traded away Randall Cobb.
Yeah, it's Randall Cobb. At this point in Cobb's career, I just have no interest in him. You have Erickson, who looked like he was on the Bengals
Brandon
last
Cooks
year.
Is 5'3".
Yep. Looks like Tywan Taylor's here. Yep.
Akins has a tight end punt.
Who does he even have at tight ends? I'm really wondering if it's Akins, Waring, or like just...
I mean, he had Fells last year, and he doesn't have Fells this year.
Yeah, I think it's Akins' job. I just have... See, like, for me, I'm on the side of I want no part of Houston, but if you were to tell me that this game goes for, like, it ends 31-30, I wouldn't be surprised. I can see it! So, one other spot I want to talk about, well, there are 2 other spots here, and there's just a lot to go over, so keep your eyes out here. We're gonna have a lot more content here on Main Event DFS, a lot more content for y'all, but 2 other games I want to mention that stand out. San Francisco, Detroit, and the other one that stands out to me is the Jets in Carolina.
I have some interest in this San Francisco game.
Yep, so let's take a look at it. Right now, this is Jimmy Garoppolo's starting job.
I think this game could be sneaky.
I agree. We know Jimmy G is known as a game manager. I've given him crap for being a game manager. Look, as a Patriots fan, when the Jimmy Garoppolo rumors were out, oh, they're going to trade for him, I'm like, please no. We need a playmaker. We don't need a game manager. Look, he's going to have Ayuk and Deebo Samuel for the first time, really, with a full off season. Both of them are healthy. We don't know what we're going to see from those 2. Ayuk and Samuel are dynamic pass catchers. And their pricing this week: Deebo Samuel 5,900, Brandon Ayuk 5,700. If I go Garoppolo, Samuel, Ayuk,
Monster can just run all over Detroit.
Trey Sermon. What? Where is he? I don't even see him on my list. Where's Trey Sermon? There he is. Right there.
4,500.
I think it's still Mostert's backfield to start. That's a wonderful stack.
I agree.
That's a wonderful stack.
And Detroit cannot stop anyone on the ground.
No. Detroit's going to have a tough time stopping anybody, period.
Exactly. On the flip side, Detroit's going to have to play catch-up.
Here's Detroit's wide receiver prices. Tyrell Williams, 4,400. Brashard Perriman, who should be the number one on this team, 3,500. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3,000 min price. Allison is still there. Geronimo Allison, remember him from the Packers? Still there. 3,000.
For large field GPPs, I like a Detroit stack, to be honest.
Tell us more about that.
You're gonna have to play catch up, and it's Goff isn't bad. He has guys to throw to. He has Hawkinson, who's 4'9", but he's gonna see a ton of targets. Tyrell Williams can ball.
Oh, we know that. That's for sure.
Detroit is bad, but it's not like they don't have guys that can ball.
There's someone that we're avoiding in season long, taking shots on in best ball, and definitely play people we can target. Like if I'm gonna, let's just say 3-stack San Francisco, and I don't include the running back.
Garoppolo.
Tyrell is cheap to run back with. Perriman's cheap to run back with. Amon-Ra St. Brown is 3,000. Even if I wanted to go Hawkinson, he's only 4,900. I'm fine with any of these as a run back.
Any of them.
I mean, large field GPPs. Again, if you were to tell me the rookie and Amon-Ra St. Brown breaks out 100-plus receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, it's not going to surprise me. If you were to tell me TJ Hawkinson, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns, not going to surprise me.
Go one more. I'll give you 100 yards.
I'm fine with that too. Like Hawkinson,
8 catches, 100 yards, and 1 to 2 touchdowns.
He is going to be force-fed, and if you want to stack them, if you want to go on the other side and stack them, Goff is $5,100.
Exactly. Large field GPP, give me a Goff stack.
I like it.
Goff, Tyrell, Hawkinson, or give me Goff. Give me Perriman and Hawkinson.
Perriman and Hawkinson actually sounds really interesting. All right, so let's talk about the last game here I want to discuss, and then we're going to get into a couple of running backs that are really interesting and stuff that everyone should be keeping an eye on. The Jets in Carolina. Sam Darnold revenge game, if you want to call it that. Sam Darnold is $5,000. He's on a much better offense than he ever had with the Jets. He has no Adam Gase as head coach,
which is huge.
That's
he has DJ Moore. He has Robbie Anderson.
Mm-hmm. No Adam Gase is already a positive. Sorry, Adam Gase. That's just no. You weren't a good head coach.
No offense, Adam Gase. You guys would get fired after 1 year if you were coaching a high school team.
Ouch. I was being nice. So let's talk about him. He's back. Christian McCaffrey, $9,500. We talked about this. We were talking about Dalvin Cook.
I'd rather have Dalvin Cook.
I'd rather have Dalvin Cook as well, but if you're telling me in non-Dalvin Cook lineups, let's just say you're trying some different lineup construction, love Christian McCaffrey at $9,500.
I agree.
So, and it's going to be right now for the Jets. Again, this is an early first look podcast. I just want to point this out. Michael Carter is $4,000. I didn't even realize that till we got to this. Michael Carter, the presumed number one, in my opinion, is $4,000. He's min price. Tevin Coleman is $4,900.
Either one of them I like. Whoever we think is gonna get the most reps, I like them here.
I agree. I have more interest in Michael Carter than I do Tevin Coleman. I think what's going to happen to start the season is the Jets are going to call a running back by committee.
Yeah.
And I think that Robert Saleh, who I'm very excited to see him as a head coach and very excited to see what he can do.
I think he's gonna be a good head coach.
I agree. I loved watching him on the sidelines during San Francisco games.
The Jets aren't gonna be good this year, but they could be good in the next year or two.
And Robert Saleh knew that too. Like, he knew there was going to be a process of rebuilding. That's why they took Zach Wilson too.
It's not like, hey, we got a new coach in Zach Wilson, we're gonna be a 500 team right away. They'll probably win 4 or 5 games this year.
And that's a win in and of itself.
It really is.
Now, look, Robert Saleh is someone I am a fan of. I loved watching him on the sidelines during San Francisco games. I loved how he just called games. His defenses were always really, really good. I'm very excited to see what what Saleh and the Jets can do. I'm sorry for this year. It's the only ones they have interest in is Michael Carter. He's $4,000. On the wide receiver side of things, Corey Davis should be the number one for this team. By mid-season, it's going to be Elijah Moore. That's my opinion.
Crowder is going to be a nice safe. Jamison Crowder and Herndon are going to be his safety blankets.
Mm-hmm. So, here's the deal with Elijah Moore. Currently listed as questionable. Currently dealing with a quad injury. Could return soon as next week. Elijah Moore is a beast. They took him with their second-round pick. He's $3,000. Just keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Davis started showing signs of fantasy life like Devontae Parker did last year. And the year before. I have no interest in Corey Davis in season long, but if you were to tell me, if I'm in a game stack, and let's just say I'm going to play Darnold, McCaffrey,
and you're going to play one of Moore and Robbie.
I put in a Corey Davis. I like that. I'm fine with that. If you don't want Corey Davis, fine. Let's say you want to play Crowder. Or you want Denzel Mims. Or you want, even better, Elijah Moore. I'm okay with all that.
Herndon's a pretty good cheap tight end, too.
Maybe just because of how much Herndon has burned us over the last few years, I want no part of him. But it's between Herndon and Croft. And I thought I've heard rumors that Croft may be named the starter over Herndon.
I don't see it happening.
I don't either. But we'll see what we can get out of Herndon this year with the new head coach, with the new quarterback.
He's going to need a nice safety blanket, and Zach Wilson is going to need a safety blanket early in the season.
Yep. I also say Dan Arnold, 2,600 if you want to outright punt tight end. Look, they
get it done for you.
They went out and targeted Dan Arnold. I have interest at Dan Arnold at $2,600.
You can get it done for you.
You say he could or couldn't?
I said he could.
Could, yep, for sure. Alright. Well, let's get into our last backfield that I know you and I want to talk about. I want to talk about another one after this, but Melvin Gordon, Javonta Williams.
Both cheap.
Melvin Gordon right now is currently dealing with a minor groin injury, according to Nick Cosmater of The Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
Javonta Williams is one Melvin Gordon injury away from being a top 10 fantasy running back. They drafted him with their second round pick. They targeted him. I think they moved up to get him. He is someone who I have absolute interest in. If if I assume they're going to probably run Melvin Gordon into the ground this year. I heard that on another podcast too. It makes
I
sense.
would expect it.
If Melvin Gordon, let's just say, is cut and is just bought out of his contract, this $4,000 price tag, Javonta Williams is going to become mega chalk because he's going to unlock a lot. This is a massive misprice by DraftKings. Giants defense is terrible, and I have interest in this backfield in this game. I don't know who the starting quarterback is going to be. I would assume it's Locke. Wide receiver prices, Sutton's 52, Judy's 48, Patrick's 39, and Hamler's 31. I have interest in the Denver
some guys
side.
on the Giants defense, but they're still not great.
I would agree. So, Denver's one to keep an eye on. And the last backfield that I want to talk about.
Yes, because they can be solid, but they're not like great to be scared of.
For sure. There's one backfield more I want to talk about for night now, and then we'll head on out of here. And that's the Jacksonville backfield. Look.
ETN.
Yeah. I called that move that Jacksonville was going to draft him. And then it happened, and I'm like, crap.
Or Robinson.
All Robinson did was be a top 10 fantasy running back last year and a top 10 running back in the league last year.
And just replaced.
Kick to the curb. You need to keep an eye out who is named the starter. Urban Meyer is still saying that the quarterback competition, it's still the competition. You drafted Trevor Lawrence at 1. You're playing Trevor Lawrence week 1, Urban. This isn't college.
He's bullshitting.
Like, I understand you're probably trying to deflect a lot of pressure off this kid, especially like with signing Tebow.
Which I still don't get.
He's your starting quarterback, Urban. Trevor Lawrence is your starting quarterback. I don't understand what he's doing.
He's being Urban Meyer. That's what he's doing.
Look, I want Urban to succeed. I'm happy he got a job. But if ETN is named the starter, he's $4,900 against the Houston defense.
Yes, please.
Lock button.
Lock.
Well, I wouldn't say completely lock button, but someone I'd absolutely have like 30% plus exposure to. James Robinson at $6,400 is overpriced. But if we're just going to hear that to start the season, ETN is just a third down back, I have interest in large field GPPs like the Millie Maker in a one-off of James Robinson at $6,400. If we know he's getting at least the first 2 downs. Because the Houston defense is one that we are going to attack all season long. They were atrocious last year. They didn't really get any better because they didn't really have that many draft picks. James Robinson at $6,400 is someone that I have interest in if he is named the starter and I know he's getting a guaranteed 2-down workload. If he's getting a 3-down workload, I'm having him at 30+%.
Yeah, I have 2 points to make here with Jacksonville. Number one, I could see ETN playing some slot and then James Robinson running the ball. I can see that happening.
I really don't want to see ETN playing a wide receiver role, but I get it.
Number two, can we talk about Marvin Jones Jr.'s price for a minute?
I have not looked at his price. Let's take a look. He's $3,600?
Yep.
Wow.
He's $2,200 less than DJ Chark.
Who we know Urban Meyer really isn't a fan of.
Give me Marvin Jones Jr. all day.
That's a great price tag for him. Laviska Shenault at $5,000. He's going to be good this year.
He is.
Definitely someone to keep in mind. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else I wanted to talk about. Chase Higgins. I think just some other names real quickly. If we take a look at wide receivers, I don't mind Justin Jefferson. I don't mind DK Metcalf. Like I said, A.J. Brown. I don't mind Tyler Lockett. I really like Brandon Ayuk. Robbie Anderson is a great stack with Sam Darnold and CMC. And of the two Panthers' main wide receivers, the one I'm targeting over DJ Moore. Mike Williams, I know he's got a tougher matchup against the Washington defense. If he breaks one free for, he's 5,500. He gets one or two long touchdowns, he's going to pay off that price tag. Again, it's week one. Call your shots. Again, Cortland Sutton as well. Need to know who's named the starter. Don't forget how good Cortland Sutton was in 2019. Anything else, Ethan, you want to talk about before we head on out of here?
Chris Carson.
Oh, let's talk about it. Chris Carson is $5,900 against the Indy defense. Tell us a little bit about him.
I mean, we know what Pete Carroll likes to do. He likes to run the ball. If Wentz is out, do we think the Seahawks are going to have any trouble at all against Indy?
I think in the running game, yes. Passing game, no.
Passing game, no. Overall, I see Seahawks. I've been one to say that the Colts defense is a tad overrated because they can be beat.
Oh, that I agree with. They're in no way one of the most elite defenses in the NFL. They're a respectable top 15 defense.
They're respectable, but I can see Carson getting 20 touches, getting 5-6 targets at 5'9", and getting a touchdown or two. They run a zone defense, so stuff gets opened up for the running backs.
100%.
I just really like Chris Carson there.
It's a good call. Definitely someone for large field GPPs you should be interested in for sure.
7K range, Nick Chubb.
Oh, yes, please. Nick Chubb, 7,200. We're going to have weeks to play Aaron Jones. This is not the week against New Orleans defensive line. But at 6,800, I can see why you want to play him.
Yep. But this week is not the week for me.
Yep. Najee Harris, we're going to play him a lot this season.
Not the week.
Not against Buffalo. I do want to say this. There was a report that came out yesterday. I saw it come across the Sleeper app notifications. Brian Flores is going to employ a running back by committee. Myles Gaskin value.
That doesn't surprise me one bit.
No, because we know Savon Ahmed did really well last year. Gaskin came in and did a good job. So they're just going to stick with the running backs that they have on the roster. But I think the season long, just keep that in mind for Myles Gaskin. I was going to be on him. Happy I haven't had any drafts yet before that news broke. Someone I want no part of now. Antonio Gibson is $5,900.
He is.
Too cheap.
I like Gibson, I really do.
Gibson.
I saw them starting to run McKissick when I was watching the Patriots football team game, I saw them running McKissick in the slot.
That's different. And again, it's preseason, so these teams are experimenting with different strategies and plays.
I'm just curious if they're gonna run McLaurin and Samuel on the outside and McKissick in the slot.
That'd be different.
And give Adam Humphries a little less time.
Apparently Adam Humphries is a favorite target of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Because Gibson, he was catching passes too.
Yeah. And I think Gibson's getting much more involved in the passing game this year.
So I really like Gibson there. I don't think I've left anything out.
I don't think so either. We have plenty of time. Like I said, this is just an early first look
It's just an
podcast.
early first look, but
We're gonna have a lot happening, and we're gonna have a lot of
we're going
content for you.
to talk about Saquon. I don't really love him, but
Saquon 7,800 against Denver. Nope. Miller's back. Bradley Chubb most likely back. No, thank you. No interest.
yeah, I don't really love him there.
Yep. Anything else you want to discuss here for players that we didn't discuss? And we'll just say, it goes without mentioning, Travis Kelce, 8,300. He is the fifth highest priced player on this entire slate. Crazy.
The Cleveland game is kind of interesting to me.
Yep, it is the highest over-under on the slate right now. Cleveland and
Right.
Kansas City, 53.5 over-under. Kansas City is favored by 6.
Have you seen OBJ's price?
I have not. I can only imagine. It's probably 5,000 something.
5,400.
That sounds about right. We need to see what we get out of this guy. We need to see what Baker wants to do.
We know how good he can be.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you and I were talking about it pre-show. Kansas City's defense isn't elite. They've lost some players. It's a good defense. It's not an elite defense. It's a beatable defense.
It is.
So, we have that. I'm all over the Bengals offense right now.
Me too. But I do like some of that Browns game.
I agree.
Especially Chubb. Like I mentioned before, if you think Cleveland's going to try to slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
If you think KC gets carried away with this game, I do not hate Baker at 5'9", because that means he's going to throw a shit ton.
For sure. I don't mind
It's all
taking
how
shots
you
on a
think.
Baker Odell stack or a Baker Landry stack, even if you wanted to go Baker Higgins.
Baker Higgins, Baker Hooper.
Ooh, Baker Hooper is interesting.
Hooper 4,000, Njoku 3.5, Harrison Bryant 2.5.
Very, very interesting. All right. Any last minute thoughts before we head on out of here?
That's it for me. That covers
Excellent.
it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in here to this early Draftkings First Look podcast. I will be by again with the FanDuel early First Look podcast at some point in the future. And also, we'll probably have some early articles out as well. Stay tuned to the Main Event DFS. Ethan, thank you for joining me. For Ethan,
Thank you.
I'm Adam. Latest, peoples.